Hello and welcome to Community Chats. I'm your host, Aley Hammer, and today we're joined with Brian Ferris, the C3O, CTO, CIO, and CDO from Loyalty New Zealand. Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. Can you start by telling our audience a little bit about your business, Loyalty New Zealand?
Sure thing. And thanks for having me. It's really great to be here and getting the chance to talk to you folks. Awesome that we can still do it even in the middle of things like lockdowns and stuff. So that's really cool. So Loyalty New Zealand, so we specialize in both data analytics and marketing. People will normally know us much better as Flybys. That's the brand's been a household name for the last 25 years. So that's our most common moniker. Since 1996, we've been partnering with Kiwi businesses, help them know more about their customers, build lasting relationships, and also to give really great offers and deals to our members. The two things work hand in hand. We do this by the use of data, trying to be really clever with the data we got. So we've got two brands, Flybys that everyone knows, and Lab 360. And that allows us to bring New Zealand's favorite loyalty program with this really rich data set under one roof together so we can make the most out of it. So that's pretty cool. So Lab 360, that's the one people, unless you're in the know in the industry, you wouldn't have heard of that one. That's our end-to-end data analytics business. So it's pretty smart bunch of people working with that data. They know marketing, they know customers, they know the New Zealand market. We've got a pretty flash technology stack. And so we try and do some really clever stuff with our data there. The program itself is pretty big, it's pretty awesome. Got an amazing data set, 2.9 million members, 80% of New Zealand households. For the Australians out there, that's a big chunk of the New Zealand population. Doesn't sound much to Australia, it's a lot for us. So basically, we've got this great penetration going back 25 years of what's been happening in New Zealand. And we try and use that to really make the member experience rich for all our members. About a year ago, we relaunched the program, so it was pretty cool. We've always been issuing the points. Now we've got some other choices because our members told us they wanted choice. That was a big thing. So now they can get fuel discounts from Z and Caltex, or we've got New World dollars for people to save on groceries. On top of that, you can also get these pretty groovy little treats and deals and stuff. Don't have to use points. You get that just for being a member. And again, we've been growing pretty steadily and strongly off the back of our strength in the loyalty market. So we're now 130 people across our Auckland and Wellington offices in New Zealand. We're only New Zealand. Again, Australians, you've got your own Flybys. They're awesome. They're our cousins. We work really closely with them and we get on well with each other, but two separate organizations. They do their thing over there in Australia and we take the New Zealand part.
Wow, Brian, what an intro. That's awesome. And 2.9 million members across 80% of New Zealand households. That's phenomenal. So please, us Aussies are even impressed by that. That's incredible. So Brian, what is your business strategy to look after these members? I mean, it's a huge chunk and proportion of the New Zealand market. So where do you see the future of Loyalty New Zealand?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So we've got a vision which is to be the most loved, valued, and successful loyalty experience. And we're pretty much nailing that and have been for a long time, but we know we're not going to stay there if we take our eye off the ball. So it's something we've really got to focus on, and that's the key foundation of our strategy. And a lot of that's looking at not just what our members want now, we've got that pretty sus, but what are they going to want in 1 year and 2 year, 5 years? Now, the world's changing really fast. So if we want to stay the most loved, valued, and successful, then we got to stay ahead of that wave. So that's really important. And we've got, of course, there's two parts to the strategy. It's really important. We've got our members. We've got to delight the members. They're what the program's all about. But we're doing that through the partners. So that's who we work with. So we're more of a platform than a traditional business model, bringing members and partners together in a way that benefits both. Thinking about our members, what we're trying to do there, we know a lot about them. They trust us with their data, and we take that trust really seriously. And we can use that to make sure people are getting stuff that's really interesting to them. So for us, it's all about being present, the right place, the right time, the right reward. So people are going, wow, that's a really cool thing. We see that with some of our, if we just look at email, sort of traditional marketing, we just ran a campaign not long ago that had a 50% unique open rate. Now that's unheard of in the industry. You can do that when you know people really well. So we didn't target the people that aren't interested. We're not into spam bombing. We're into putting things in front of people that they really value. And of course, that brings values to our partners. because the better they understand their customers, the better they understand what they want and when they want it, and the better able they are to service them. So that's what we try to do to bring those two things together. And that all comes down to it's simple, not easy, but it's very simple. You just got to know what makes people tick and what they're interested in, and then respond to that. And in fact, part of that, we're actually this week, good timing, shameless plug here for Flybuys Extras, which is another unique part of our program where we've got a whole range of special offers and deals and treats from some really awesome brands just for being a member. So you don't have to spend your points on it. You just flash your card and you'll get deals from a whole range of things, from tourism industry to beauty to food, you name it. It's pretty cool stuff. Again, that was because we were listening to what our members told us. They told us what they wanted, the sort of things they needed to be different, and this is what came through from it.
Flybuys Extra sounds exactly what people want from their loyalty program. And, you mentioned that 50% open rate. That is, as you said, completely and utterly unheard of. I personally have never heard of that. So that's incredible. You obviously know your customers, you look at the data. And speaking of data, you mentioned that data and technology is such a vital part of your business. So what's the strategy to enable all of this?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and this will sound like a weird answer to start with, but we like to think we don't have a separate tech and data strategy. It's really important to us that we just have a strategy. We have the business strategy, and there's some tech and data components in there that enable it. And it can sound a bit like semantics and, kind of messing with words, but it is genuinely true. And we work really hard to stay in lockstep with the rest of the organization. We don't see ourselves as separate. We don't talk about tech and the business. We're part of the business. We're a critical part. There's just the business. So I've seen too many organizations where data and tech are silos that are operating independently, or sometimes are even at war with each other. And it's just not helpful. So we really don't want that to happen here. We're pretty active about it not happening. So we got a couple of initiatives. You'd think of them as tech initiatives. Our tech debt one, getting rid of some of the old crap. Data integrity, making sure we've got that data at the quality we really need. Both of those are sponsored by our CMO. So they are seen as business-facing initiatives because they have absolutely clear business outcomes that they are part of our business strategy. So we don't do tech for tech's sake, and it's a really important thing. So every single thing a person in my team's doing, they can look to the bigger business strategy and see how they're part of it. Overall, as I've kind of hinted at, the strategy is all about using that huge data set to bring value to our members, and then through that, bring it to our partners. And that's about understanding people. Nothing's changed really in that sense in 25 years in terms of what we're trying to do. What's changed is that ability to get it done at scale and at pace. That's changed markedly, and we've got to take advantage of that. And that's not necessarily easy. I've seen a lot of organizations get it badly wrong, go out and buy a big new shiny thing. Often there's a certain type of vendor that will just try and sell them a silver bullet that'll solve all their problems. It never does. So we've got a really strong focus on foundation. We want our tech debt gone. We've got to get rid of the old stuff. We want to get our data quality right so we can automate and we can leverage machine learning. Luckily for us, we've had this focus over quite a number of years, so this is not new. We've got rid of most of our tech debt already. So we are in a really good position to take advantage of some of the cool stuff that we're seeing coming through, particularly machine learning and the automation it brings. So we've already decommissioned 3 of our 4 key on-premise legacy solutions. Those anchors have been thrown out for the back of a boat, which is really cool. We're working on the last one now. And that is just such a huge difference. There's a lot of organizations out there I know have great ambition, great vision, and they're lumbered with some really old on-prem thing from 20 years ago. They've got 3 or 4 years before they can even start to realize the vision. So I feel sorry for them. We've rebuilt our old data warehouse, so that's gone. We've now got a data platform. We're actually looking beyond that. We're seeing that's good for now, but what do we need in the future? So we're looking more towards a true data fabric, where we're looking to heavily automate everything. Again, leverage all those cool machine learning things that we're seeing coming through, and maybe even some of the cool AI stuff. And also our main transactional system, all gone from on-prem. We've rebuilt that completely into the cloud, so that's an SOA architecture up in the cloud. It makes us way more flexible than we ever used to be. So that's cool, makes it really interesting. A bit like the first point I made though, the main or one of the most interesting parts of our whole strategy has got nothing to do with technology. So it's not technical at all. So there's a Maori proverb here that asks the question, that's he aha te mea nui o te ao. And that means what's the most important thing in the world? And the answer is he tangata, he tangata, he tangata, which means the people, the people, the people. And that's us. It's interesting, we're pretty techie and we're all data focused, but most of the energy goes into people because that's actually who delivers all of these cool things. Especially in the current market, you know, people are even more valuable than they were. So organizations like us that have a strong culture and really respect our people, I think, you know, are much better positioned than some that maybe haven't looked after their people as well as they should historically. They'll be paying a price now. We want a really cool team with really good people that want to work together and have a lot of fun. Again, to get the best talent, we recognize we need really diverse recruiting practices. So we try really hard to do that. You know, we're really not interested, or we are interested actually in diversity, but don't feel that it's important, you know, the background, your ethnicity, your beliefs, gender identity, anything, everyone's welcome. And we're working really hard on not just the diversity, but the inclusion that goes with that. You know, it's one thing to have diversity. It's a waste of time if everyone's trying to pretend to look like the majority. So we recognize that that's a journey, not a destination, and we don't pretend we're perfect, but we've got a really strong focus on trying to be really welcoming and diverse and just generally being a pretty cool place to work.
Brian, it's really cool to hear about all this. You know, often you see a successful company and you think, wow, they must be doing so much right. But when you actually speak to the people behind it, like yourself, and you find out some of the mechanisms and how you are so equal, I mean, your t-shirt says that itself. It's really cool. And it really shows why your business is just so successful. It's people like yourself.
Well, team, I'm not going to take much or any of the credit for that, but yeah, no, it's genuinely a team effort, and I get called by members of the team pretty frequently on stuff, which I think is why it works, because we've all got our blind spots. So it's really important you have a culture where people can call you when you're having a bad day and bring you back on track.
Absolutely. So Brian, how has the move to the cloud helped Loyalty New Zealand, not just Loyalty New Zealand, but your members and your partners and your customers alike?
Fundamentally, we could not do what we wanted to with the old legacy on-prem stuff. It just ain't possible. So this has been a really key enabler for us. So and give you an example, we run one of the largest e-commerce sites in New Zealand. So a member redeems a reward every 8 seconds for us. So it's reasonably high volume. And when we get to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that goes up exponentially. So that's always been a real challenge for us historically. Well, we've moved everything up to the cloud. That was one of the last year. We went live in October with a new e-commerce site. We were able to triple all our capacity over those days, ramp it right up. And we just kept ramping up until we had enough. And when that was over, then we ramped it back down again. Of course, in the cloud, that's no big deal. There's nothing special about that. No one's going to be going, oh my God, what a breakthrough. Of course, that's huge compared to on-prem. So it's that kind of flexibility that it's a real cliche, but it is game changing. It alters fundamentally what's possible to do. And so I have an amazing CMO I work with, shares these great ideas. By going into the cloud, we don't have to keep saying, oh, great idea. Yeah, I can't do that. Oh, it'll be 12 months. Oh, yeah, not possible. Now we're able to respond and bring these ideas to life really quickly. Likewise with the data we've got. You can imagine 25 years, 2.9 million members. We got a pretty chunky data asset. Again, historically, we knew we wanted to mine that to get all the value out, but you just couldn't. At one stage in the previous solution, our daily load took 27 hours. So you do the math, figure out what that means. You know, now with the cloud solution, we're getting better. We've still got tuning to do, but we're now running that in about 4 hours. So, yeah, colossal difference, and we've got a long way to go yet. Other things as well, it means that for the software development, we've moved to a CI/CD model, continuous integration, continuous deployment. And that, again, it just changes the way we work. The speed and reliability we get from that totally alters the way we can deploy software. We're getting away from these big releases, much more getting things out quickly, testing them, changing them. Again, it means we can respond at the speed that the members and the partners need us to, which we've always wanted to, just couldn't before. And we've also, I mean, one of the things that's always been, I've always sold when I've been talking about cloud journeys, is it's not cheaper. You don't do it to save money directly. It brings value, but it's not about cost saving. We've actually had hard cost savings as well, which is pretty awesome and pretty cool. Not initially, not our initial setup, but we had some really great support and teamwork from the AWS crew, from Instillery. They came in, did the well-architected reviews for us, and we've taken out really significant amounts of cost. For an organization our size, now we're not that huge, that's massive, because we then reinvest that, and that's more cool things that we can do. We get faster, we get better. The teams are working on more fun stuff. So yeah, it's made a big difference in what we're trying to do.
That's so awesome. And I mean, you mentioned that a member redeems a reward every 8 seconds. That's a busy website. So I'm so happy that we can support you, and not only just support you, but actually save money for your company so you can reinvest it back into the people. That's amazing. One last question, Brian. How has AWS been a part of helping achieve all of that? I mean, your website's grown, you've been around 25 years, you know, you're able to scale. So what's AWS's role in all this?
So another part of the strategy that we brought in a couple of years ago was to change from this really transactional RFI, RFP model, which just wasn't giving us what we wanted. We wanted a real trusted ecosystem of vendors that were going to grow with us and help us and be part of the journey, and we weren't getting it. So we switched to a different model. We focused on a few key vendors and built really strong strategic relationships. And AWS was one of the first vendors that really got that, what we were trying to do, and jumped on board and invested in return, and it's really strengthened the partnership and pretty much nailed exactly what we wanted to do. So we now have these partners that are actually helping us drive the growth rather than just transacting with us. Mm-hmm. So it's been a real pleasure to work with the AWS team. It's fair to say they took a bit of a risk on this, which was very cool. And there was a lot of investment up front to try and see if this would work, to really get to know us. But that's paying off in spades now. So with other vendors I've worked with previously, they would come to us with ideas with really good intent, but often they were just completely useless. They were missing the mark. They were often driven by what they wanted to transact in, or what they thought they were good at, not what we needed. What we're seeing now, because the teams, the solution architects and the account teams at AWS really do understand us in some areas better than ourselves, they're coming with really relevant stuff, which we're able to pick up quickly and move really fast on. So it's stuff that, and if there's doubt now, we think, oh, it doesn't sound like us, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and we'll take a risk on things, because odds are it's probably worth going after. That has really moved things a lot faster for us. An example of that is we've got to move out of our on-prem data center. Obviously, we want all the old anchors gone. Originally, we had that to be completed in end of 2 years or 2.5 years from now. We would be completely out. The architecture team there got involved, came up with some really smart ideas. We're going to be out of there by December this year. Before Christmas, we'll be gone. That unlocks massive parts of our strategy, and it saved us hundreds of thousands as well, because it meant we didn't have to do a full refresh of our hardware, which obviously is big dollars, and it's dead money, because once you've spent it, it's just gone. So yeah, that sort of input, that sort of help is completely game-changing for us. Keep saying it, but it's true. And the other difference I've found is that there's an excitement and an energy and a passion when we're dealing with AWS and our other strategic vendors. We've got a couple of other good ones as well. And it's a refreshing change from some of the ones I've worked with before in other roles that I've been in. Really that box shifting mentality of people coming in trying to sell you a license. It's really tiring, and it's just exhausting. You want someone that you're working with alongside you that's trying to drive towards your business and understands your strategy and trying to get to your goals. And that's what we get with the AWS team. So yeah, it's worked really well for us. So we've been super happy.
Brian, thank you so much. I mean, this is a glowing testimonial, not just to our relationship, but to your business, and what a phenomenal job you guys have been doing. I mean, you can see from the interview, I've been smiling the entire time. Really enjoyed this chat. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with AWS and your journey. What an incredible business. So thank you. And to all our viewers at home, if you have any questions, please pop them in the comment section below and we'll get back to you. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks a lot.